If you map out the plot of almost any modern action, survival, or revenge movie, you will find an identical structural formula. That very formula was originally invented over 3 millennia ago by a single poet. But instead of opening with explosions or battle cries, this blueprint starts with absence. We begin in the decaying kingdom of Ithaca, feeling the vacuum left by its missing king, Odysseus. Establishing this chaos early highlights the deep vulnerability of a world that has lost its protector, creating a stakes-driven vacuum that modern thrillers still use to hook an audience. The immediate threat in Ithaca is a ruthless gang of local nobles known as the suitors. They have completely overrun Odysseus's estate, devouring all of his stored food and forcing his wife Penelope to marry one of them so they can steal the throne. It has been 20 years since Odysseus left to fight the Trojan War. He was the brilliant tactical mind who invented the Trojan horse, yet while the other kings sailed back, he vanished. The central mystery becomes, where is he? To answer that, the story employs a structural device that audiences today know intimately. We get a sudden, violent shift back in time to see exactly what went wrong on the ocean. This structural jump does heavy lifting. It takes a hero built up as a legendary king and instantly reframes him as a trapped, desperate survivor. In this flashback, we see Odysseus trapped in a cave by a giant man-eating Cyclops. Since the monster is too strong to fight, Odysseus relies on his intellect. He gets the giant drunk, blinds him with a wooden stake, and when asked for his name, replies with a brilliant lie. "My name is Nobody." When the other Cyclopses check on the commotion, they hear that nobody is attacking him, and they walk away. But as Odysseus and his surviving men escape on their ship, he makes a fatal error. His ego gets the better of him, and he shouts his real name back to the shore to taunt the defeated giant. That arrogant act gives the Cyclops exactly what he needs. He prays to his father, Poseidon, the god of the sea. Poseidon answers by placing a devastating curse on Odysseus's journey home. The escalating nightmare of the plot is driven directly by this moment of hubris. The monsters and storms aren't random bad luck. They are a direct cause and effect punishment for the hero's own pride. This diagram shows the starting resources of our protagonist, a fully equipped fleet of 12 ships that left Troy. From here, we see the trope of escalating attrition. His crew's greed causes them to open a magical bag of harsh winds, blowing them off course, right into a tribe of giant cannibals who crush the fleet with bowlers. We watch the resources vanish until only a single ship remains. With physical strength depleted, the story forces a pivot into the supernatural. On the next island, the witch Circe turns his remaining crew members into pigs. To figure out how to navigate the curse, Odysseus is forced to travel into the underworld to seek guidance from the dead. Stripping a protagonist of their weapons, ships, and men forces them to look inward. They have to confront their own psychological ghosts to find a path forward. Back on the ocean, Odysseus faces the ultimate mythological trolley problem. He has to navigate a deadly strait. On one side is Scylla, a 6-headed monster. On the other is Charybdis, a massive, swirling whirlpool that swallows whole ships. So he makes a brutal leadership calculation. He chooses to sail closer to Scylla, intentionally sacrificing 6 of his men to the cliff monster to prevent the entire ship from being swallowed. The remaining men finally break. Starving on a strange island, they ignore his strict warnings and slaughter the sacred cattle of the sun god. The vengeance is swift. Zeus shatters their ship with a lightning bolt, drowning every single crew member except Odysseus. Clinging to a piece of wreckage, he drifts to Calypso's island, bringing the massive flashback full circle. The cinematic trope is cemented. Ultimate survival often requires the tragic, isolating loss of everything else. When Odysseus finally returns, the story drops him on the edge of a calm Mediterranean coastal town like this one, representing the shores of Ithaca. He arrives covertly, armed with the tragic lessons of his journey. He employs the classic disguise trope. Athena shrouds him in the appearance of a filthy old beggar. He infiltrates his own palace to quietly test the loyalties of his servants and prove that he has finally learned patience. Inside the Great Hall, the tension peaks. Penelope issues an impossible challenge to the suitors. String Odysseus's massive hunting bow and shoot an arrow through a dozen aligned axe heads. The arrogant nobles strain and sweat, but they can't even bend the wood. When the beggar steps up and effortlessly strings the weapon, the reveal lands with the weight of his long-deferred justice. It's a moment earned through the tactical restraint he developed during 20 years of exile, rather than a simple display of strength. He looses the arrow perfectly through the iron rings, drops his disguise, and bars the doors. Alongside his son, Telemachus, the battle-hardened king systematically slaughters every single one of the suitors. Penelope isn't won over by violence alone. She gives him one final, brilliant intellectual test. She orders their bridal bed to be moved. Odysseus erupts in anger, revealing a secret only the real husband would know. One of the bedposts is a living, immovable olive tree, rooted deep into the earth. The story ends with the family reunited, completing a narrative cycle that hasn't aged a day.
It serves as a foundational text because it demonstrates that a resolution is only complete when the protagonist conquers both the monsters in the world and the ego within themselves.